Welcome to the Urban Herald. We're your team, ready to take, well, those really necessary deep dives into the cultural texts shaping our world right now.
Exactly. And today it's less of a review, more like you said, a deep dive, maybe even a cultural autopsy.
Yeah, we're dissecting something that holds up a pretty disturbing mirror to, our age of manufactured fame, online life, and just extreme inequality.
And that something is Lian Zhang's debut psychological thriller, Julie Chan is Dead. Came out April 2025.
And it just exploded, didn't it? Shot up the charts, sparked loads of debate, controversy.
It's been everywhere. And it keeps getting compared to R.F. Kuang's Yellowface, which sometimes fits, sometimes really doesn't.
We'll get into that comparison later, I think. But the core idea, the premise, it's designed to grab you, right?
Absolutely. It's sharp, intentionally so. Twin sisters, identical DNA, but worlds apart in terms of class, opportunity.
One's barely scraping by as a cashier, minimum wage. The other, a multi-millionaire beauty influencer. Huge online presence.
And the hook is, when the cashier, Julie, finds her famous twin, Chloe, dead. She doesn't dial 911.
Nope. She steps right in, steals her sister's entire life.
It's audacious. And that's what we, as the Urban Herald team, want to unpack today. Not just the thriller plot, but the critique Zhang is making.
Right. She meant it as this razor-sharp dissection of what? Authenticity, privilege, what it means to live online.
All of that. The hidden costs, the performance, the whole messy reality behind the filtered photos.
And Zhang is kind of perfectly placed to write this, isn't she? Her
Yeah.
background is fascinating.
It really is. It's this unique blend. On one hand, she was a skincare content creator, had like over 20,000 followers.
So she knows that world from the inside, the pressures, the mechanics.
Exactly. She has that gritty insider perspective. But then, and this is key, she paired that with serious academic chops.
Degrees in psychology and criminology from the University of Toronto.
Right. So she's not just observing the influencer world. She understands the psychological drivers, the economics of attention, even maybe the darker side, the criminology angle. What happens when minds fracture under pressure?
So it's that fusion, yeah. The lived experience plus the academic framework. That's what makes Julie Chan is Dead more than just a whodunit or a simple identity swap story.
Precisely. It lets the book be this addictive page-turner and this really biting, sometimes unsettling, but necessary social commentary.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning, the setup. Section 1, the tale of two identical lives. This is where Zhang really lays the groundwork for the inequality.
Right. Yeah, she paints this incredibly stark contrast immediately. You have 24-year-old Julie Chan. The book calls her, kind of sarcastically, the simple plebia.
Stuck in that supermarket job at Superfoods, just grinding away.
And then there's Chloe Van Heusen, her identical twin, living this entirely different reality, massively successful beauty influencer, millions of followers.
Which translates to what? Luxury apartments, designer everything, constant income stream just from performing online.
And Zhang is very clear. This huge gap isn't because they made different choices as adults. No, it goes way back.
Right, back to early childhood, a single event.
Their parents died when they were only 4, and that's the split. Chloe gets adopted by this wealthy, well-connected white couple.
Hence the name change, Van Heusen. Instant access to money, connections, cultural capital.
Everything. While Julie, she ends up with a maternal aunt, an aunt described as abusive, resentful, living in poverty.
Wow. So it's like a perfect, if tragic, experiment setup. Same genes, completely different environments.
Exactly. And Zhang uses that to show how much external forces, class, circumstance shape everything. It breeds this deep, deep resentment in Julie.
A resentment that Chloe apparently made worse during their only reunion.
Oh, absolutely. That reunion wasn't about sisterly bonding. It was pure content, a calculated move.
The YouTube video, right? Finding my long-lost twin and buying her a house, hashtag emotional.
Sounds generous on the surface, but the reality? The sources say Chloe made tens of thousands of dollars off that one video.
Monetizing Julie's trauma, basically.
Yeah.
Your vulnerability.
Totally. And what did Julie get? Not financial freedom. She got this rundown house she couldn't afford the upkeep on.
So it was this grand gesture that actually cost Julie more in the long run, emotionally and financially, and made Chloe richer.
Yeah, just poured salt in the wound. Solidified Julie's feeling of being cheated, intensified her obsession with watching Chloe's perfect life online.
Which brings us to the inciting incident, the fatal mistake.
Right. Years pass, tension simmering. Then Julie gets this weird, garbled call from Chloe, just repeats mistake, mistake, mistake.
And then radio silence.
Yeah.
from someone who's constantly online.
2 full weeks of nothing on social media, which is completely out of character for Chloe. So Julie, worried, finally goes to Chloe's fancy NYC apartment.
And finds her.
Lifeless. Surrounded by all this luxury but dead. And Julie's reaction isn't immediate panic or calling for help. She freezes.
Then starts thinking.
Yeah.
Calculating.
Yeah, it's chilling. The first thing she does, she slips Chloe's emerald ring onto her own finger, uses Chloe's expensive phone because hers died.
And on that phone, she finds the money trail.
Bingo! Sees the staggering amounts Chloe earned. And worse.
Finds proof about the reunion video.
Exactly. Discovers Chloe pocketed the entire payment from that hashtag emotional video, kept every cent made off Julie's paint.
That's the final straw, isn't it? Decades of feeling abandoned, cheated. That discovery just obliterates any moral qualms.
Completely. So when the first responders show up, see 2 identical women, and naturally assume the dead one is Julie Chan.
Julie just goes with it, doesn't correct them.
She seizes the moment, slides right into Chloe's identity. Effortlessly, terrifyingly. The book's tagline nails it. Julie Chan has nothing. Her twin sister has everything, except a pulse.
And this is where Zhang's psychology background really comes through. She makes Julie's decision feel almost understandable in a really dark way.
Yeah, the first-person narration pulls you right into Julie's head. It's darkly funny sometimes, but mostly just bitter. She frames it as, like, cosmic justice.
Like she's not stealing a life, she's taking back what was rightfully hers. Correcting the unfairness of the adoption, the class divide.
Exactly. It's extreme mental gymnastics fueled by rage and this profound sense of entitlement born from trauma. It forces you, the reader, to see how the system created this situation, this person.
Okay, so she's pulled off the switch. Now what? This leads into section 2, the digital lie.
Yeah.
This is where Julie, the ultimate imposter, gets an inside look at the influencer world.
And where Zhang's own experience really informs the narrative. She's talked about being in those private group chats with elite influencers.
What did she find there?
She said she was taken aback by the sense of entitlement, the disconnect between the public persona and the private reality.
That disconnect is central to the book, right? Julie sees Chloe's feed, and now her feed is all curated perfection. So peaceful, so kind.
But behind the scenes, in the DMs, the private chats, Zhang writes it's a whole other personality. Competitive, cynical, focused on money and status.
And Julie starts to understand the sheer work involved in maintaining that illusion.
Oh, yeah. It's exhausting. Every photo filtered, every video staged, every brand deal strategically negotiated. It's a full-time performance.
You are the product.
Constantly. And Julie gets that initial buzz, right? The expensive PR packages, the designer stuff rolling in.
Making more from one Instagram post than a month at her old job. Must be intoxicating.
For a minute. But it wears off fast. She sees the hollowness. The friendships are transactional based on follower counts, mutual promotion.
Compliments are just strategy, networking.
Exactly. And the lifestyle, it demands constant feeding, new content, audience engagement. It's built for burnout.
Zhang doesn't just blame the influencers, though, does she? She points fingers at the platforms.
Definitely. She uses this really potent phrase, big techno-feudalistic overlords.
Techno-feudalistic overlords, like Google, Meta, TikTok.
Yeah. She frames them as these modern lords presiding over digital manners. They provide the platform, but they extract immense value data, labor, attention from the creators and users.
And their main goal isn't connection, it's
scaling data, driving engagement for ad revenue. Genuine connection is secondary, if it's even a factor. Influencers are just like high-status serfs in this system.
Which brings us back to that core theme. Authenticity. Or the lack of it.
Right. Julie, who is literally living a lie, starts asking, how authentic is any of this? If everything is curated for an audience, is anyone truly being real online?
The book basically suggests that all successful influencing is a kind of identity theft, isn't it?
Pretty much. You create this marketable persona, this simplified, idealized version of yourself. You're stealing from your own complex reality to sell something palatable. Julie's just taking it one rather extreme step further.
And what about the other side of the screen? The followers.
Zhang digs into that too. The millions consuming this content with what she calls parasocial intensity that borders on worship.
Parasocial intensity, that feeling, the influencer, like they're your friend.
Exactly. It's a one-sided psychological investment. People project their hopes, their ideals onto these figures. It creates these almost cult-like followings.
Where any misstep, any deviation from the perfect image leads to massive disappointment or backlash.
And Julie, being the ultimate cynic, learns how to manipulate that intensity for her own gain, showing how fragile and transactional that relationship really is.
This critique goes beyond just the digital world, though. Section 3 gets into privilege, race, and this idea of the tokenization trap.
Yeah, Zhang uses the twins' diverging paths to really examine how opportunity, or lack thereof, follows class and racial lines.
We talked about Chloe's advantages. The wealthy adoptive family, the Van Heusen name, the money to buy products for content, the cultural ease.
And Julie's lack of all that. Poverty, neglect. That dilapidated house Chloe gave her wasn't a leg up, it was a burden. It highlights how privilege isn't just about getting opportunities, it's about having the resources to sustain them.
It perfectly skewers the myth of meritocracy, right? That hard work alone determines success.
Completely. Zhang forces you to ask how much is individual choice versus just, the circumstances you're born into or adopted into. Privilege masquerading as merit.
And this intersects with race, specifically how Chloe was positioned as an Asian influencer.
Right. The book argues her success depended on performing a version of Asian identity that was, quote, exotic yet accessible to white audiences.
She became a kind of cultural translator.
Exactly, a cultural intermediary, valued for explaining certain Chinese things to a Western audience, which reduces a complex identity to a marketable stereotype. That's the tokenization trap.
And Zhang has said this is personal for her, reflecting her own anxieties.
Yeah, about being labeled a diverse author, feeling pressure to package her identity in a certain way for the market, just like Chloe.
So when Julie steals Chloe's identity, she's not just stealing followers and money.
She's inheriting that specific, performed racial position. She has to mimic Chloe's curated version of Asian femininity, the way Chloe navigated being both exotic and accessible.
Which raises really complicated questions about authenticity again, doesn't it? Especially when race is part of the performance.
It really does. Is Julie being less authentic by performing Chloe's performance, or is she just peeling back another layer of the artificiality? The book doesn't give easy answers. It suggests maybe authenticity itself is just a construct in this market.
All this performing, this lying, it must take a psychological toll. That leads us to Section 4, identity dissolution and the story going completely off the rails.
Yeah, this is where Zhang's psychology background kicks in hard again. The constant effort of being Chloe the voice, the mannerisms, faking memories, starts to wear Julie down. Her sense of self begins to fray.
It's not just stress, it's deeper. Like, her actual identity is dissolving.
Exactly. Zhang uses concepts about identity, trauma, prolonged deception. Julie's psyche is fragmenting under the strain.
And this is shown visually, viscerally, with the hallucinations.
Right. The recurring, vivid hallucinations of Chloe's decomposing body. They're everywhere, superimposed on luxury goods, reflected in mirrors.
It's not just a horror trope, it's her guilt made flesh.
Precisely. It's the physical manifestation of her crime, her paranoia. No amount of stolen wealth can erase the reality of the death she's tied to. The trauma is inescapable.
And this internal breakdown mirrors a massive shift in the plot itself. Things get weird.
That's putting it mildly. Critics use words like wild, gonzo, absolutely insane. The story deliberately veers away from psychological thriller realism into something much more extreme. Satire, horror.
It's like Zhang decided the influencer world is so inherently rotten, realism couldn't capture it anymore.
That seems to be the intent. And the catalyst for this shift is the Belladonnas.
Ah, yes, the Belladonna's cult. Julie gets invited to their exclusive retreat.
Right. As Chloe, obviously. She thinks it's just an elite networking thing for top female influencers, led by the Queen Bee Bella Marie.
But it's not just networking.
Far from it. It's a full-blown cult. High-end, sure, but with rituals, hierarchy, secrets, and actual worship of some entity called Ito.
Wow. So Zhang just literalizes the cult-like devotion influencers already inspire.
Exactly. It's brilliant, biting satire. The Belladonnas practice this twisted version of prosperity theology, the idea that wealth is a sign of divine favor.
But here, fame and online relevance require sacrifices.
The literal and metaphorical sacrifices, yeah. To appease Ito and maintain their status. Zhang draws this direct line between influencers sacrificing their privacy, mental health, authenticity for clicks, and the Belladonna's maybe more literal, disturbing demands.
So the line blurs completely. Is sacrificing your soul for Instagram any different from sacrificing whatever Bella Marie demands?
That's the question she forces. Is fame the new god? Does it demand actual human sacrifice in one form or another? Realism is out the window at this point.
And trapped in this cult compound, Julie starts uncovering the real secret.
Yeah. Big one. Bella Marie, the leader, knew Julie wasn't Chloe all along. They let the charade continue for their own reasons.
And the biggest secret about Chloe's death.
That's the core twist. Chloe wasn't just having a breakdown. She was about to expose the Belladonnas, their whole manipulative operation. Bella Marie found out and murdered her.
Ow.
Secretly dosed her with prescription drugs that interacted fatally, made it look natural. So Julie, the identity thief, suddenly finds herself in the position of avenger.
This story just pivots completely into survival horror.
Full throttle. The climax is intense. Julie confronts Bella Marie. It escalates. Ends with Julie killing Bella Marie with an axe.
An axe? Wow. And she claims self-defense.
She rationalizes it that way, but the violence doesn't stop there. Whatever moral tethers she had are gone.
What else does she do?
She drugs the rest of the Belladonnas, frees this younger member, Isla, who seems traumatized, and then...
Does the whole place on fire.
Yep.
Burns the compound down with 7 other influencers trapped inside. It's mass murder.
That level of violence, it has to be satirical, right? An extreme statement.
Yeah.
Zhang herself said she was channeling her frustrations about social media into the narrative, letting it go wild, using extreme violence to expose what she sees as the extreme toxicity of that culture.
Okay, wow. So after all that, the ending, Section 5, the ironic ending and the comparison to Yellowface.
Yeah.
Where does Julie end up?
Well, there's one final twist. Julie thinks she's done something almost heroic, destroying the cult, saving Isla. But Isla
Betrays her.
immediately goes straight to the authorities, and Julie gets arrested.
For everything. The fire, the murders on the island.
And for Chloe's original murder, too. The legal system catches up. No escape there.
The digital world is different.
That's the final, brutal irony. In the eyes of the law, she's a mass murderer. But in the eyes of the internet, she's infamous. She finally has the massive global attention she always craved.
More than Chloe ever had.
Way more. And she uses it. From jail, using social media, she starts telling her version, controlling the narrative.
Turning her crime story into content.
Exactly. Positioning herself as this misunderstood anti-hero. It forces the reader to think about their own role. Are they consuming her story now with that same parasocial intensity? Zhang shows that attention, good or bad, is the ultimate currency. The cycle continues.
It's a really dark, cynical ending. Okay, let's talk about the Yellowface comparison directly. It's unavoidable.
It is, and there are definite surface similarities. Both use identity theft as a starting point. Both are dark satires of creative industries. Both feature really unlikable protagonists who justify awful things.
That kind of contemporary Asian American dark satire seems to be a emerging genre, almost.
You could argue that, but the differences are crucial. Yellowface targets traditional publishing, the literary world. It's about stealing a manuscript, a voice.
And it stays pretty grounded in realism, right?
Yeah.
The critique is sharp but believable within that context.
Exactly. Julie Chan is Dead goes after influencer culture, the world of images and personas. Julie steals a performance, not a text. And the biggest difference is that tonal shift. The extreme violence, the horror, the gonzo third act, Yellowface doesn't go there.
Also, the racial dynamic is different. Yellowface is white author stealing Asian author's work. Appropriation.
Right. Whereas Julie Chan is Asian woman stealing another Asian woman's persona.
Yeah.
That lets Zhang explore different things, internal community pressures, competing versions of acceptable Asian femininity in the media, marketability within the group.
It's a different focus.
Yeah.
So how did critics react to Julie Chan, especially that wild shift?
It was divisive, predictably. Everyone praised the insight into influencer culture, the sharp writing, Julie's voice. Publishers Weekly called it witty and insightful.
But the third act, the cult, the massacre.
That split people. Some critics, like those at the Harvard Crimson, felt it was jarring, like reading two disjointed novels, the realism of the first part clashing with the absurdity of the end.
But for others, that escalation filter.
Necessary. Yeah, some saw it as a cathartic explosion. Like the sheer absurdity of influencer culture demanded an equally absurd, violent narrative response to truly expose it.
And Julie herself. She's not meant to be liked, is she?
Not at all. She's petty, bitter, selfish. Zhang deliberately makes her unlikable. And the fact that readers argue about whether they rooted for her or felt complicit in consuming her story, that's the point.
It makes you examine your own reactions, your own relationship with unlikable characters and online figures.
Exactly. It uses that parasocial dynamic against the reader, in a way.
So wrapping up, as the Urban Herald team, our take is that this book, Julie Chan is Dead, it's challenging, yes, but really rewarding if you engage with it deeply.
Absolutely. It works as a thriller, but it's doing so much more. It's a serious piece of social commentary about the attention economy, privilege, identity.
It forces you to confront some uncomfortable things about how we consume media, how success is constructed online, and Julie being unlikable is key to that.
Right. You don't need a sympathetic hero to dissect a sick system. Sometimes you need someone who embodies the system's flaws.
It's definitely a novel that sticks with you, makes you think. After this deep dive, we really want to leave you with that core question the book raises.
Yeah, the big one. In this age of performed identity, where authenticity is manufactured and sold, who really owns a life?
Is it the person living it, with all their flaws and complexities?
Or is it the audience, the platform, the market that consumes and profits from the curated, simplified version of that life?
Think about that next time you're scrolling. We guarantee you probably won't look at influencer content quite the same way again.